Hi, everybody, and welcome to MAGA Headline News. My name is Mike, and today is Tuesday, April 8th, 2025, and we have some stories to get into tonight. The first thing I want to get into is President Trump is scoring huge wins in the Supreme Court. And these wins are really important because they set a precedent. They set a precedent for when these ridiculous lawsuits happen. It shows these liberals, these globalists, the deep state, it shows them they're going to lose, okay? Because we have control of the Supreme Court. America has control of the Supreme Court. Things are a little bit flaky on the Supreme Court, just like things are flaky always with the Republican Party in general, but we do have control. First major win was with this Judge Boasberg, this guy, okay? Supreme Court told him right where to stick it. Okay. This was on the flights for deporting the MS-13s and the Tren de Aguas, the ones that were raping and killing and invading apartment complexes, cutting off people's fingers for calling the police, the ones that the Democrats want back in the population. Yeah. Well, Supreme Court says that Trump can deport at will. Okay. That's the Alien Enemies Act. That's why we have it. Okay. We have these clauses in our Constitution. We have these laws because our founders knew that someday something like this could happen. We can't be defeated militarily. So what did they do? They came in inside. They snuck in. And this is how they did it around the world for a number of decades. And now they did it to America. And we're still in big trouble. But here's Stephen Miller, okay, on the news today. This guy is such a treasure, okay, to the Trump administration. He's a great asset. I love when he talks. I love when he goes on CNN, especially tells them. But yeah, check him out today. Let's see what he had to say.
Onto American soil, trying to turn our planes around, trying to empty prisons in foreign countries and bring them back. I mean, a monumental victory for President Trump, the biggest legal win of this administration so far, a total embarrassment for crazy Judge Boasberg, who's been trying to force this president to bring foreign alien terrorists back onto American soil, trying to turn our planes around, trying to empty prisons in foreign countries and bring them back to our soil. This is a monumental, colossal victory for the rule of law, for the Constitution, for our founding generation, John Adams, who signed this law into effect in 1798, and for President Trump in fulfilling his mandate and campaign pledge. What does this mean for you and your family watching at home tonight? It means that the Department of Justice, FBI, DEA, ATF, the U.S. Marshal Service, Customs and Border Protection, Border Patrol, and Immigrations and Customs Enforcement now have maximum authority to find and remove illegal alien gang members from Venezuela that have been responsible for so much misery in this country, for the torture and murder of Jocelyn Ungary, for the brutal slaying of Laken Riley. Those monsters can now be hunted down and expelled from this country with speed, force, and efficiency. This is a great day for America, Sean.
And it is a great day for America. Okay. The fact that anybody would have tried to put a stop to that. Okay. I don't know what some of these people are thinking. I don't know if the propaganda was really too much for some people to not understand or not care or not want these criminals to be out of our country. I have no idea what some people are thinking. And, I used to think like once this is all exposed, everybody's going to turn. But you know what? There's going to be a lot of people that aren't gonna. These people are absolutely nuts. And the propaganda has really gotten to them. And it seems to be the people that are, these Democrat voters, I'll tell you, there's different types of them. Okay. You got the ones that are, they know they're communists. They know they're socialist. They know they want America taken down. So what they do is they play along with this nonsense in the news. They hit the Republicans at every angle, but they use our freedom, our country, our Constitution. They use it all against us. And they know they don't care about the real issues. They just use it against us. Okay. Then you got the ones that are just completely low functioning. And that's most Democrat voters, 99% of Democrat voters. If these people were to really go take an IQ test, they would find out they're amongst the lowest of the low. They say that Republicans, MAGA, were not educated. There's a big difference between being educated, okay, and having common sense. And I always bring this up because every time I think about this, I think of when we were in school, when we were growing up. It was my friend had this girlfriend, and she's a teacher in the local high school now. And this girl, I always say, she couldn't get from point A to point B. This girl had no common sense, nothing, dumb as a box of rocks. Couldn't tell you how something worked. Couldn't remember. It was so bad we couldn't even believe it. But the fact was, on top of being as low common sense, low functioning as she was so book smart, where she got straight A's in school, class president. Okay. And those are the type of people they like, because she was book smart, but dumb as a box of rocks, no street smarts, no common sense at all. She ended up at one of these liberal colleges. They brainwashed her. She came back to the local high school, had a relationship with a student that got swept under the rug, then got elected to city council for a couple of terms. All right. And while teaching in the public schools, I think it was some of the ROTC members made some freedom banners around the first President Trump election. And her and I think another teacher went and ripped it all down, got in big trouble. Or they probably didn't even get in trouble. It was a story that went around. And President Trump even mentioned her in one of his speeches when he was in Hartford, when he heard about it, for ripping down the freedom banners. And this is the type of person that's out there teaching your children anti-American views, trans, this, everything. I mean, and then they got to go to a classroom like hers and then hear her rhetoric. I always think about her when stuff like that comes up. Okay. But yeah, let me get back to this. Okay. The Supreme Court. Okay. They won a huge victory, which is good. And they won two other victories. Okay. There was another one where the Supreme Court just delivered a huge win for Trump, allowing him to block $65 million in Department of Education grants to Democrat NGOs to promote DEI in schools. $65 million to send to people like the person I just mentioned to brainwash your kids to become racist. Okay? To not think that they have to do good to get a job, or think so. Some people think they can't get a job no matter how good they do. The others, they're going to teach them that they could get a job based on how they look. And what happens with DEI? That's why when you go places, you go in somewhere, nobody's doing their job. You can't get service. Companies are impossible to do business with. Okay. It's not because of the color of somebody's skin. It's because they're taking people based on the color of their skin. They're not asking the people, are you qualified to do this job? Okay. Because it doesn't matter what color your skin is. You could be qualified, but they're not checking that. Okay. They're not even saying we're taking people of certain skin colors as long as you're qualified. They're just saying we're taking people based on your skin color. We don't even care if you're qualified. Nothing is merit-based anymore. Okay. And that is nothing. It has not. And when the globalists do that, they're not doing it because they care about a certain race or people's sexuality or any of that. They tell you that. They brainwash the idiots into thinking that. What they're really doing is destabilizing our country even more, because nothing functions. Okay. When you have DEI and people are hired without qualification, what happens? What happens when you walk into the Department of Motor Vehicle and they've hired a bunch of DEI hires? Nobody knows how to do their job. Or you go into the Social Security office, or you go and order a burger somewhere and a DEI hires. You go to try to apply to a college. It doesn't matter. Everyone everywhere can't do their job. It destabilizes the nation. And then everybody's aggravated. I mean, it just goes right down the line. DEI is no good. It's racist, and it has no place in our country. America's competitive. You could be anything you want to be in America. You could do anything you want to do in America, but you got to work for it. Okay? There's opportunity for everyone. You don't need to get a job based on the color of your skin, no matter who you are, what you are. Okay? You could get that job if you're qualified, if you work for it. All right? So 65 million going to the schools, wiped out. Good. I'm glad. Okay. Then we had another case. Okay. The U.S. Supreme Court rules against a group of unions. They granted emergency requests from Trump administration to allow them to fire thousands of probationary federal workers as part of the president's plan to cut government spending. Okay. Same thing. They want to take over the White House. They want to take over the executive branch. They got nothing left. So now they're going to use the courts. Okay. Trump is the head of the executive branch. End of story. He could fire who he wants. And all these cases set precedent. They're showing these left-wing, globalist, anti-Americans that these cases are not going to work. Okay. And just like I said before, though, the Supreme Court is flaky. All right. Because what we have is there's like 3 liberals on the Supreme Court, and Trump nominated a couple of them, and he nominated Amy Coney Barrett. And if you take a look at this, okay, because she's been voting with the liberals, okay, she's been voting with the liberals, and no one could understand why. Because her history doesn't show that she votes with the liberals, but all of a sudden, now she's voting with the globalists. She was asking for protection because of threats. She didn't get any. But, you know, I'm going to say this. When you become a Supreme Court justice, you know what's coming along with it. You know you're at the center of everything. If you don't think you could handle that, don't take it. Okay? Because she's putting all of us at risk. All right? Yeah, she was threatened. Definitely. Who knows what else is going on? There's also rumors that she's taking a lot of USAID money. She's mad about something. I don't know what she's mad about, but look at this. Because, you know, I'd like to think maybe they got to her. She's scared. That would at least be somewhat of an excuse. Okay. But she is about son. You don't make this face. Look at this when Trump passes by her. Okay. Just check this out. I'm going to make this bigger too. Just watch when it plays. Watch the face she makes after he. Okay. You know what I think that has to do with? I don't think that has to do with a threat. I think that has to do with the USAID money that I think she's been getting that got cut off. All right. Because all of a sudden now, guess what she got? A book deal. And this is what they do to hand out money on the left. This is how they funnel the money into their pocket. Do this, do that for us. They got the publishers in their pockets, and they get the book deal. Like Obama, they all get the book deals. All of a sudden, $2 million advance for a book deal. What's that tell you? If you go back to all these book deals, they're all the same story over and over again. Okay? It's just ridiculous because I'll tell you what, I shed a tear for this lady. I was so upset what they were doing to her family and her when she got nominated. MAGA, we went to bat for her. We counter protest for her. We don't even go out of our houses that much to counter protest. We went out, we went to bat for this woman. We put everything we had into this woman and defended her. and this is how she repays us. I could see if she had a point on the thing she was voting no for, but there really is anybody with a half a brain could see that these decisions were not constitutional that she made. So we cannot rely on her for anything. All right. So you know what? And I hope she does get investigated. Should she be taking money for a book deal? Where's the money coming from? Who's the publisher connected to? She obviously got a problem with Trump. Okay. It's really disappointing. It really is, because we went to bat for her. We really did. Another thing going on here, Trump is announcing that he's bringing the mining jobs back, opening the mines up. And he needs to, because we're going to have a lot of things going on with AI. We need a lot of power. The grid is getting old. We need more power. We're going to need a lot of energy. And the coal mines, okay, you got thousands and thousands and tens of so many people lost their jobs, lost their homes. Towns turned into ghost towns all over America when these coal mines got shut down because of these globalists, because of the environment. And it's really not because of the environment. Okay. This is their way of stealing the power of the West, of robbing the West of everything we have until we're on our knees so they can build their global government. Okay. It's just a coincidence that China is opening a coal plant a week, every couple of days. France is opening them now because they tried the wind power, and the wind power did exactly what Trump said it would do. It failed. Okay. All these environmental things, it's all bullshit. All bullshit to destabilize and to rob the United States of our wealth. And everybody sees it now. I said this a long time ago. People used to say you're crazy. Now you see I wasn't crazy. It was easy to see. Okay. So Trump's going to bring these coal mining jobs back. And what's going to happen? You're going to have these plants opening up. And when the plants open up, these guys are going to get jobs. And these jobs are going to support families. And these towns around all the coal mines are going to become towns and functioning municipalities again, and revitalize, and local economies come back, and more businesses open in those towns. And what happens? You revitalize America. You revitalize our infrastructure that's been torn down for decades by these Democrats. These Democrats, we walk around, these people, they smile like they think they're friendly. Some of them, these people are not your friend. Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing. Look at these, I live in Connecticut, and I used to live in West Haven. I don't live there anymore. But I just saw the local Democrat state representatives are going to Hartford to sponsor bills to make sure you can't use a leaf blower. This is what they're doing. And you think these people actually thought of that? They didn't think of that. They just want to put their name on something. Instead of going and trying to fix our country, this is the time they're wasting. Okay? These people, these Democrat politicians, they're selected. That's what I've seen it firsthand. I used to be a Democrat. Okay? I was a Democrat in 2011, 2012, 2010. All right? I saw it with my own eyes. I was involved politically. I see exactly what they do. They choose you. They ask you to run. None of your ideas are organic. You listen to what they do. They throw you out there for cannon fodder. They need you for a last name. They need you for something. And you are going to listen to them. You're going to listen to the state agenda that's already done by the unelected Council of Governments. That's something else we could get into another day, the Council of Governments. Unelected. All right. But here's Trump going to revitalize the country. He's opening up the coal mines. You know what that's going to do? Like I said, it's going to bring back all the small towns that are struggling. Just like the car industry is going to bring Detroit back. Okay. When we start cars in other countries, because you know how many of our pickup trucks will sell? The whole world wants American pickup trucks. They can't get them. Listen to Trump here. I'll give you just a.
Today, we're taking historic action to help American workers, miners, families, and consumers. We're ending Joe Biden's war on beautiful, clean coal once and for all. And it wasn't just Biden, it was Obama, and there were others. But we're doing the exact opposite. And all those plants that have been closed are going to be opened. If they're modern enough, or they'll be ripped down and brand new ones will be built. And we're going to put the miners back to work. And I said I was going to do this, and I've said it loud and clear, and it's time to do it, and we need it. Today, we're taking historic action to help American.
He will bring it back, okay? Because he does what he says. That's why. All right? He does what he says. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, the tariffs too, okay? The stock market is going to bounce back. We already see it bouncing back, okay? Everybody's hitting the tariffs. They're so bad. Well, if the tariffs are so bad, then why do all the other countries have them? Okay? They say this President Trump starting a trade war. He's not starting a trade war. We've been in a trade war that they started. All over the world started. They hit us with monster tariffs. We just never responded. We sat here like a bunch of dummies and took it. Okay? He's starting a trade war. Well, listen to Pelosi back in 96 before she was compromised, okay? And before she stole all the money from the stock market, before she became a globalist, okay, before she became anti-American. This is why they shouldn't be in these positions for so long. Because at all that time just breeds corruption. Couple of terms, get them out, okay? Get them out. Listen to her back in 96. Sounds like a different person.
How far does China have to go? How much more repression? How big a trade deficit and loss of jobs for the American worker? And how much more dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, I will not endorse the status quo? As I mentioned, it's about jobs, proliferation, and human rights. And there are those who say we shouldn't link human rights and trade and proliferation and trade. I disagree. But if we just want to take up this issue on the basis of economics alone, indeed, China should not receive most favored nation status for several reasons that I'd like to go into now. I'd like to call the attention of our colleagues to this chart on the status quo that the business community is asking each and every one of you each and every one of us to endorse today. Right now, we have a $34 billion trade deficit with China, the 1995 figure. It will be over $40 billion for 1996. Since the Tiananmen Square massacre, this figure has increased 1,000%, from $3.5 billion then to about $34 billion now. In terms of tariffs, I think it's interesting to note that the average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%, whereas the average Chinese MFN.
You get the point. If you want to see the rest of it, go look it up. But you get the point. What happened, Nancy? She used to sound like Trump. Now, her and her buddies are sending their idiot voters out to go burn down the country for doing exactly what she's saying right there. We're being used. We're being drained. Okay. And we're being destroyed. We're being attacked every day. All right. And this is why Trump is doing what he's doing. I don't care that the stock market is falling. It'll come back. I don't care because I'm willing to endure a lot more than a dip in the stock market to save this country. And so is the rest of MAGA. We're willing to endure a lot more than a dip in the stock market. Okay? So another thing, okay, we got going on here. Libs of TikTok, okay? They had a report up from Fox Business, all right? Now, this got to do with Doge, okay? These Democrat voters, that half of them, they show reports the other day on video, these people were showing the pamphlets they were giving. They're all standing around like idiots. They're giving pamphlets and signs. They don't even know why they're there. And the news is reporting how many people came out. We know, okay, we saw them all. But they're not Trump supporters. We know they exist. We saw their votes. We know they exist in Boston, everywhere else. So what? They came out of their house. It's pointless. This isn't going to stop. Trump is going to take down the entire globalist agenda. It's going to disappear. And you know why? Because he knows, number one, they're going to come in and destroy him and his family as soon as he's out of office, if not. And they're going to come in and they're going to really destroy the country, and they're really going to wipe out the Constitution. This is all or nothing. And he's going to do it. Okay? And they want to protest Elon because they're so worried about their Social Security. All they got to do is look up a few facts, and that shows you how brain dead these people are, that they can't even look up a few facts. All right? If they knew this, they really cared about Social Security, these voters, why don't they take a look at this? Because I guarantee you, they wouldn't be so against Elon after they saw something like this. But they're too brain dead to even look because they're listening to men like Rachel Maddow, guys like that, who are just lying to them, or guys like Michelle Obama, who are just lying to them. It's bullshit, okay? Listen to this, because this will shock everybody. I had some of this in another report the other day, but this is so outrageous that I'm going to play it again. Different format.
Fox to reveal what's really going on. Doge exposed our immigration asylum disaster. That was the tip of the iceberg. Now, here's the story. Doge has found that immigration gave a work authorization document to illegals just 5 months after they filed for asylum. That document allowed them to work while they waited to hear whether their asylum request had been accepted or denied. So they could work as an illegal, knowing it would take years before their case was heard. The Immigration Department mailed them a Social Security number. No interview, no proof of identity. Just put it in the mail. Here's your number. In 2021, Doge says 270,000 new aliens were issued Social Security numbers, 590,000 in 2022, 964,000 in 2023, and 2.1 million in 24, right before Biden left office. Doge also discovered that 1.3 million aliens are now receiving Medicaid. Millions received driver's licenses, some registered to vote, and Doge says some actually did vote. Try and square that against Democrat claims that Musk is destroying Social Security and cutting Medicaid. He's not destroying. He's weeding out people who don't qualify. Who is really guilty of misinformation in this case? It is not Elon Musk. Fox to reveal what's really.
2 million illegals on Social Security, max payout, on Medicaid, on food stamps, on housing. There's so many people that can't even afford a house right now. And this is just the stuff we know. This is the stuff they found out in a couple weeks. Wait till they get into where all the dead, the millions of Social Security recipients, where all those checks were going. You know what you're going to see? You're going to see that they went directly to your United States Congress people. You're going to see all that USAID money going to all their wives and all the judges' wives and all the judges' husbands and their cousins. They've been robbing this country for decades. Decades. Okay? And then here we go. I'm going to end with this, okay? Big Mike Obama and his podcast, okay? Check this out. This is Michelle Obama, former First Lady Michelle Obama's new podcast continues to tank. Okay, that's what's tanking, not the stock market, because nobody wants to listen to these people anymore. Her viewership down 75% compared to her first episode on YouTube. Obama's viewership has been dropping since first releasing her show on March 12th. Episode 1, 335,000 views. Episode 2, 194,000 views. Episode 3, 253,000. 4, 230. Episode 5, 141. Episode 6, 63,000. Soon to be down to nothing because nobody wants to hear what they have to say anymore. because the two of those guys, Obama and Obama, screwed this whole country up. And now we're here today. Did you ever think you were going to go to sleep? You go to sleep in 1995 and wake up today. Imagine that. Waking up in this world with the Transformers, binaries everywhere. Okay. You got Jasmine Crockett's in Congress, doesn't even know what she's saying, swearing. Everybody robbing us. USAID going for transgender comic books. Guys and girls bathrooms, guys and girls sports. Wake up, people. This is serious what they're doing to us. And if we don't like it, what do? They come out and burn down our cities. This is for real. We're living in history right now. We're living in what's going to make history. We have to support President Trump. He's the only hope we have. Thank God he's doing the heavy lifting for us. Because if not, we would have to be out there doing it ourselves. He's taking a bullet for us. Support this guy. You see these congressmen, these senators, if I see them going against him, you know what to do? I call their offices and I ask them why. Get involved. Get involved locally because we're going to lose this country if we don't. These people aren't stopping. They have no intention to stop. And God knows what they would do to not get caught. Hopefully Trump can get enough of these leaders of these gangs out of here before it gets too hot out, before it warms up. Because I can tell you right now, the summer of love is coming. I'm going to keep saying it so everybody understands. Be prepared. You need to have water and food in your house, a couple of weeks worth. Stock up on stuff. They're going to try to burn this country down. Okay, they're paying them. They have the money. They have the money for one last stand. Yeah, Trump shut off their funding, but they have the money for one last stand. Okay, let me get out of this. So listen, guys, this has been MAGA Headline News for tonight. I just picked a few stories. There's a lot more going on. I'll be back soon, hopefully, with another report. Just guys, remember, let's support President Trump. Okay. He needs us. He needs our support. He needs us to be vocal in any way we could. And be prepared because the Democrat Summer of Love Part 2 is coming. You all remember 2020. Well, Summer of Love 2025 is coming, and they're not going to stop. Hopefully, Trump will get it under control quick. Let's support him. Okay? He needs to do what he has to do. Stock market's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. And all the arrests that everybody want to see, you will see. They will come. Trump's not going to stop. He does everything he says. He told us he's going to obliterate the deep state. Let's let him do it, and let's support him. All right, guys. This is Mike. This has been MAGA Headline News. And have a nice night till I see you again. Thanks, guys.